Welcome to another episode of Dave Trippin'. I got a cool email from Mike, and I haven't done a video like this in a while, so I thought it was a good opportunity to do so, where he wanted me to talk about it's like a culture video, it's culture shock, I guess you might say, but it had the specific detail of discussing design decisions in Japan, and I thought that was really, really cool. Because there are a lot of specific design choices in Japan, and he pointed out, it's got all kinds of ranges. For example, when you eat an onigiri, it's basically like a rice ball or rice triangle, that they double package it so everything stays super fresh. This is a habit in any sort of food that you buy in Japan. It's hyper packaged for freshness. He was also talking about how train chimes in certain areas, the song that plays will have some sort of historical allusion, those kinds of design choices. And I didn't even know that one, so that was really cool. So I thought one of the first things I could point out is, yes, Japan has very small roads, but this guy behind me here, this is one of their design choices, is they're very aware of the fact that with these small roads comes these brutal blind spots, and because of that, they have all these little things up here, so basically you can always tell when someone is going to be coming in your direction, which I thought was pretty cool. We got a guy who just cannot figure it out right now. Okay, we're gonna go this way. We don't walk this way usually. So there's one example that I've always noticed. I was like, oh, they actually consider the fact that these roads are so small and do something about it. Another one that I've noticed, which is really good for just efficient use of resources, is you've probably seen in the bathrooms, or from previous videos that I have, where they have the faucet on top of the sink, or sorry, not the sink. That would be just like the West. They have the faucet on top of the actual toilet, and so that's as soon as you stand up, the water that's cycling through to refill the toilet or whatever, you can use to wash your hands. It's incredibly efficient. I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. And so I was trying to think. There was a couple. There was the road signs. There was that one. I was trying to think of other things that you might see as well. Another thing that's really cool that I like, because it's so small here, or not so small here, there's so little space here, that you have to be really, really efficient with everything, and that creates a certain character in any sort of really focused population. Wherever you have a focus of population, and what it leads to is if you go out for food in any kind of city, you've got these cool buildings, everything goes up because that's the only place that you can go. There's no room beside you. So you've got restaurants on every single floor of these buildings. So you can have restaurants that go from the first to the 8th floor of a building, and all kinds of variety, and I really, really like that. That's kind of cool. It just it feels kind of Blade Runner-esque. Look at how beautiful this home is behind me here. Traditional design, traditional. How many times can I say that? Really, really beautiful. So I really like that, these multi-level buildings. I could touch again on the whole micro-packaging thing. I think sometimes the micro-packaging actually becomes excessive, where I'm just like, maybe we could forego this extra little bit of packaging and freshness for this cookie to save the hundreds of thousands of pounds of additional waste that it's creating. But that's just the hipster in me, I can't deny it sometimes. So yeah, there was the buildings going up, there's those cool details about the small roads, there's the sinks, or the toilets I should say. What's another one? Oh, I really like this, and this contributes to having a really nice experience when you eat, when you dine out, is that a lot of restaurants, it's not appropriate to wear shoes into them, and so they've got all these cubby holes to begin with when you enter into the place, and you put your shoes in, and they'll give you usually this wooden block that then locks the cubby that you're putting your shoes into. And I've always loved that about dining out in Japan. When you go and you sit down, you sit on the floor, and I've always found sitting on the floor creates a whole different vibe. When you're eating, it's like more approachable, it's more relaxed, I guess. It seems, of course, so much less formal, and it's strange in some ways, more dignified, but you're sitting on the floor. You'd think that wouldn't be the case, right? So I found that's something I really, really enjoy. I love how they sit on the ground here. I'm out of practice. I don't think I'm the least flexible guy in the world, but I could definitely be more flexible. That is for damn sure. What are some other things that you could talk about? I noticed something. Houses are very rarely square. They're usually some kind of rectangle. That's another detail. I don't know why that is. I couldn't tell you why that is. Very, very strange to me. Maybe that's some sort of rectangle is a more efficient use of space, maybe. I'm not sure. It's cool little trees. You can't get more Japanese than those cool little trees. Let's walk down this random back street. What are some... I tried to come up with like several that I'd be able to discuss. One thing I've discussed in another video, I guess this isn't specifically design, well, it can lead from design, is that when you go to these bathhouses, I really, really enjoy the bathhouses in the first place. They're wonderful. They're a great thing to do. And the way that they work, of course, is that you would have your bath or shower beforehand. You actually have your shower beforehand, and it would be kind of Japanese tradition that you sit down as you have your shower. Another detail that I really like, there's nothing more chill than sitting down while you have a shower. That's really good. And then it's after the shower that you would go in and you would have your bath. And it's always that much more relaxing as a result thereof, because you feel all clean, you're much more relaxed. I would do this, quite often after at my old gym I went to. When I finished, I would do that, and it would kind of be like the finish up to my exercise. This cool wooden gated home. Get a lot of that in the countryside. You get a lot more super traditional homes, no big surprise. So yeah, that whole onsen culture is really, really cool. The shower first, then bathe afterwards, really relaxing. But the one thing that I've mentioned, this isn't design related, but it just trips me out, is how it's totally acceptable. Most of the people who clean these places are female. Those are the women who clean these buildings, and it's completely acceptable that women will wander around cleaning a men's change room while men are in there naked. And I've said in the last video, I said, I don't feel sorry for the guys. Initially it shocked me when I was like, I turned around, I'm naked, and there's this little old lady just scrubbing away, cleaning. I was like, okay, I feel bad for the women. Or I'm like, man, you're gonna send them in there with all those gnarled old carrots hanging about to drop off, and they gotta look at that. That's their job. That's their day-to-day. These poor women. I hope they're paying them well. Other interesting design choices is, it's coming to me now, is a lack of stoves. There's no stoves, or ovens, sorry. There's stoves, there's no ovens. And also that there's although they do exist, they do happen, but it's super rare, is an actual drying machine for your laundry. Super, super rare. I mean, you could probably, even as I'm walking around through these little back streets, I bet I could point out, you'll see most, if not all, people's clothes are usually hanging from a balcony. That's they air dry that shit. I probably won't be able to show you, but that's another detail too. This is kind of impromptu, so I don't know a ton more. This is a little bit of a ramble. Final design decision that they make. To put everything into vending machines, and that vending machines, it's not acceptable unless there's one every third of a block. Although I've defeated that statement in the last block I've walked past here. But anyways, yeah, that was a cool video idea, I thought, where I was like, yeah, they definitely, you'll notice all sorts of little design decisions that usually you won't even realize are there. They're kind of like subtly placed. Like another one I saw from quite a notorious J-vlogging husband and wife, where they were talking about, you see these bamboo things off the side of buildings, and they'll do those so animals don't piss on the building, where when you'd see those, usually you just think, oh, what, that must serve no purpose. Are they just, is that to keep like the rain off? Well, a kind of rain. Yeah, there's one more thing. This is being really nice. I've never actually walked through this area before. Really, really cool. Super narrow. This could be like a two-way street for them. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is just a cool little like cultural discussion, I guess. If you have any questions about Japan, don't hesitate to write me. I always put my email down below. Please do comment. You know, if you visited Japan, I really liked how Mike pointed out that detail about the music that's played at the train stations. Or I was like, oh, I never thought of that before. That's a really good point. Really cute dog right there. If anybody else, you know, of course, there's hundreds of things I'm sure I haven't mentioned. If you know a cultural detail about Japan that you thought was really, really interesting, specifically design, let's try and stick with that theme, the design theme, then put that down in the comments. Be like, oh, I thought this was cool how they designed this. Or maybe even just a cultural detail if you don't have design. Anyways, like I like to say, thanks for tripping with Dave. Until we meet again, ciao for now. Peace.